So I have to start over again in this video again. But anyway, okay. Blue Girls Video podcast. So this one starts with homeless guy, August 7th, 2025. A homeless looking guy was sitting on the ground in the desert. A YouTuber may or may not have been there, but somewhere in dream. August 11th, 2025. Frat house. I was at a house with apartments. A young woman was helping me. She was hanging out with this one guy that she liked. A black woman showed me her very nice apartment. It was kind of like a frat house with several students in the house. As I was leaving the room, I mentioned to these two guys, Las Vegas. So I was at this frat house, and I think this is the same dream in which there was a tiny blonde girl there, short, who had an African-American boyfriend. I'm almost positive this is the same dream. Because why would I be at a frat house? But anyway, so I remember me being on the stairs, and there was this hippie-like guy with long hair. And so I remember her, kind of coming and talking to me when I was there. And it was, they just had, they had their own rooms. They didn't have their own apartments, but they had their own rooms. And then as I was leaving, I mentioned to these two guys Las Vegas. So I'm not for sure. I remember that in dream. I don't know why I would say that. Okay, August 12th, leave. So I've been hearing that more often, leave. It's a very quiet, silent leave. And upon awakening, I heard the word leave. And this is August 12th, 2025. God only knows where I am. I'd have to check my calendar. I'm not for sure if I'm supposed to visit or leave due to impending danger. There's always danger. Not sure. Someplace that I haven't been into in a long time. Initial S. So anyway, another time that I heard the word leave was when this guy was and this other girl were kind of in a room together. It's crashing on the floor there. And he got moved to a different apartment where there's two or other people in a room. Anyway, he was dating or starting to date this one really pretty girl, young woman. I think they were dating because they were kind of hanging out and stuff. And so she's really pretty and more closer to his age. So I heard the word leave. And I think that's partially because he got an apartment and I didn't. That was part of it, maybe. New York. I'm not for sure if this is me in the dream or not. A young Asian woman is at a youth hostel with her friends. Me in New York. It's a large open space with several twin beds. The women seem to be paying for most of the expenses. The hostel was $50.85. That can't be correct, so it's probably 50% for a night. I was then waiting in line, and for whatever reason, a guy put me aside of the line, making me last or close to last. In real life, I was probably put to the bottom of the list. I remember thinking I was going to have to take a bus back, then train looks familiar. Okay, so I did end up going to New York, and I did end up staying in a place where there was just, when I was there, when I got there, there was an Asian woman in the room, but people come and go. But it was a little different. The room was a little different, but it was not the same room, but it was a different room in the dream. And they were twin beds. There wasn't any bunk beds. the hostel was $50.85. I don't know if that's correct or not. I used to have dreams in which I would get these numbers, and they would be pretty accurate, actually. So maybe 50%. Because I remember one time I was going to move into this one place, and I wish I would have did it. But the people, the unit where I was staying, the landlord, they were tossing me out because I would have to pay them and then pay this other housing, and I think I chose not to, which I don't know if that was the best idea. But before that happened, I got the exact amount how much I would owe, and that's how much I owed. And that was like before I knew. And that's without calculating or anything the dates. I have to spend so many days at this apartment and another at that apartment. But I rarely have dreams of numbers anymore. It's not as... So anyway, so what happened was I was standing in a train station. And in the Midwest, and I've taken a train there several times. And for whatever reason, the guy who was, scanning the tickets, he pulled me aside. And I don't know why he did that. But I think that he just made me laugh. I think it was symbolic, which kind of doesn't make any sense because, either you have a ticket or else you don't, and I would have one. So I just think it's symbolic. Grand Central Station. I was on an upper level of Grand Central Station when I looked down to see the entire lower floor full of black people, African Americans. I said out loud, what are those black people doing down there? So this is weird because, I did take the train to New York, but I don't know why, the whole floor was full of black people, African American people. And all I can think of is that something came up for an area or apartment that had predominantly black people there, living there or in the area. I'm not sure. But anyway, that was kind of strange because I remember thinking that. Put you in the hospital. I was in the hospital bed and the doctors were giving me a medication that doesn't sound familiar to me, nor do I know why I was there. I seemed to be getting this medication throughout the day. There was a younger woman there who also was going through similar issues, and she came into my room. I'm still trying to figure out where this hospital is located, probably closer to my current location, NOB. Something about 6 months. They didn't know. So I just remember, I can see me in a hospital bed, like I'm like away from the hospital bed, like I'm standing there and I can see me there. And then a woman comes in, a blonde woman she's younger than me, and she's there for similar reasons, I think. But I think that she's kind of almost staying there longer than me. But I just remember that it was something about my medication. So that I was kind of under surveillance or observation to see how the medication would work or see what was going on, I think. I don't remember being there. I wasn't there for that long. September. Old landlord. I was at the landlord's apartment complex. This is the same landlord that would always provide this former female tenant a room. She does look like my former landlord in the Southwest area. However, the scenery looks different. Anyway, she wasn't too happy to see me. Didn't seem to smile much. I was friendly towards her. I was there for a couple of days. The town was straight. She gave me a check for $280. No, ruin everything. Lying under oath. So I had several dreams about this same landlord, and it would be kind of different places. So I think it was somebody else, or it's the same kind of aura, some kind of personality. And So I would have dreams about her helping this one woman, and it was just a room that I would see in the dream. And then now I've stopped having dreams about her, and this is September 1st. And I don't know why she wouldn't be happy to see me. It doesn't sound like her personality at all. So I think it was somebody like her. But, you know, whenever I would have dreams about her, it was kind of a one road, you know, just kind of straight, small town with a couple things. I think one place was like maybe a school or a doctor's office or something way down the end. And now I'm seeing more things. That's been happening. I've been seeing more things. Okay. September 13th. Cancel. I can't remember the beginning of this dream. This dream is similar to another dream in which I was at an airport and was trying to cancel my flight. I didn't have much time, nor did I know where I was going. Okay. So and when I had this dream, I was like, well, I was already at the airport doing this, and I'm thinking, well, you know, and I think it's like you have to cancel it 30 minutes before. I don't know. I've always canceled it more than that, more advanced, but I remember that I was in a rush, and I don't even know where I was going in the dream. I just know that I was trying to get it canceled before I was charged. Yelling. I was sitting in an open room with chair in a circle. The guy sitting next to me was yelling. I do not know what he was yelling about. Sometimes I have dreams and I'm like, what the hell is that about? Nails. A woman was putting artificial nails on me. She didn't seem to finish them. Then a young guy was working at a pet store. I don't remember this dream. Funeral. I was attending a funeral in a large open church, almost like an auditorium. This older woman was standing in front of me near the church pews. I recall walking up to a coffin, and the young woman with short blonde hair was enclosed in this hardened liquid substance. It was kind of strange and didn't know her. So I see the dream from like I'm kind of like standing in the back. You know, there's chairs, and then right over here is to the left is the casket. So, and most of the people there seem to be Mexican or Hispanic. I mean, I just see a couple people. I see this one lady, and I don't know why I'm there. I don't even know if I know this woman or not. But I go up to the casket, and there's all this. She's in there, enclosed in there. And she's got blonde hair, and it's all like hard or whatever. Almost like Dracula. Remember when Dracula and that girl with the red hair is in that casket or whatever? She became a vampire, but anyway, this wasn't a vampire. So I don't know why that was, you know, she was like that in that. I don't know. It was kind of weird. But anyway, that's the dream. Let's see her. Nurse. I don't know if I can get all of this done. I was with the nurse. This is October 2025. Same nurse as relative nurse. She had a nice large purse for $200. I was staying at a place. I was going to write a check. This was after the 6th. I went to a counter and didn't know how much was supposed to pay. Then I went into a bedroom that had single beds of young male students. Yeah, so I remember this one nurse. I have a relative who's, and I don't know my relative really well, but she's a nurse, and I guess she's really smart. And, but she had this really nice, really pretty, large purse for like $200. I was staying at a place, I don't know why, and I was going to write a check for after the 6th. And I didn't know how much to pay. I remember going to a counter. And then I went into, a young male students. So I'm thinking that, maybe it's during the summer. Well, it's October, but anyway, that, they rent out their rooms when they're gone for summer or whatever. Real mom. It was at a house. I was at a house or apartment with my real mom and the youngest brother. It kind of reminds me of my former manager. I was trying to get my brother to bring my mom and myself to the store. It seems like it was taking a while, not for sure when we were going to go. So I think I put in there real mom. I should be biological mom because I'm mentioning another lady that's like a mother figure. So then I think this is my youngest brother. I was trying to get, look at that. And it seems like it was taking longer to get to the store. No one wants you around. Yeah, I know. Well, no, they just don't want to help me. And yet they won't give me a job or do nothing. I was someplace different, not familiar in dream. There were several people around in a house. They were outside animals, possibly chickens or turkeys. People were paired together and was talking to a guy, but he went to join some other people. Oh. So I was at a house, and people were just kind of sitting around, doing nothing. But they had like chickens. They had like farm animals there. I remember chickens and some other animals, but that's all I remember. I don't remember horses or piggies or anything. My cousin and I were sitting at a picnic table. My cousin wasn't acting herself and just sat at table staring. I was deciding on whether I should get a bus ticket and download it on my phone. I'm not for sure where it was going, but I see the inside of a bus station. So I remember this. My cousin was just kind of blah, and she's not usually like that. She almost had like a different personality, and she's usually pretty bubbly. And she was just sitting there staring. Full-blooded Italians. Okay. I had a dream of a group of full-blooded Italians in real life several years ago. This is October 8, 2025. When I was at the airport, I saw that same group. And then so on October 23rd, 2025, news of the 3 mafia families and a basketball player were in the news. I haven't heard any more about that. October 19th, 2025, that's my mom's anniversary of her death. Bro's dream. I forgot my dream, however, my brother had a dream that hit a note. He actually had several dreams, one being that he dyed his hair blonde. So, sometimes my brother he knows things that are like right on. And I was the one who actually dyed my hair. I bleached it blonde about maybe 4 years ago. And someone told me maybe I look younger, so maybe I should do it again. But I kind of like, this is kind of darker, but I like the color that is kind of a reddish tint. It's kind of hard to see now. It looks darker because it's wet, but I kind of like that. I don't like it too red. I used to dye my hair like auburn when I was younger. Ashram retreat. This isn't a dream. A friend invited me to an ashram retreat. I was really tired and ill. There were 2 people there from last year of deceased relatives. Jay, who had a daughter with my name, and Elle, my grandmother. There really wasn't anything unusual. However, I did mention something about direction. At times, God lights up a certain city and then that city dims. When I was apartmentless, I would see more light in the city and then the next, ping-ponging me all over the place. But anyway, in small rooms, in small groups, we each got a slice of a blue rock. Later, people were showing their rocks to each other. A young girl who looked like me got the state that previously lived and wanted. My friend's state I visited. my state threw me through a loop. It was a state never visited but did want to volunteer. Yeah, so we each got a slice of a rock, and I remember thinking what my rock looked like, and I go, oh, that looks like Indianapolis, and it's some city that I never been to before. And at a later date, I did go there, and I almost scored an apartment where you pay weekly or whatever, monthly, but there wasn't transportation in there, so. And then my friend got Tennessee, which I have been to the Memphis. Well, I've been to Nashville, just through it, but Memphis. I actually arrived there on the same date that Lisa Marie Presley passed away. It was really trippy. And I did go to the Elvis Graceland. And it was weird because people, I mean, as far as in my generation, the people know where they were when Elvis Presley died. And I know where I was too. I was in California. I think I was like 7 years old. And I asked my mama, because I didn't understand. I says, why did Elvis have to die? And I was crying. But anyway, and then this other girl got Nevada, and she looked like me. And I'm like, oh, that's the state I wanted, but I didn't get. And then it says she didn't know. November 7, 2025. I will leave. I was somewhere with all white people. One guy was turning down helping me. I had an apartment, so I went up to the counter. Oh, I was scheduling an appointment in person. I was going to see a former psychiatrist from many, many years ago. I heard I will leave. Then I heard a southwestern state that briefly lived in is warmer climate. Also, I recall being in line. My brother was ahead of me. Okay, so that's for this session.